So I would say probably the next thing that would be the easiest would be just yard work.
Sure.
Um, Getting the weeds pulled, getting the edger, um, you know, weed and feed, getting the yard nice and luscious, bringing in some bark dust if you like bark dust, and just cleaning it up and just having it tidy. Like you don't need a lot of plants, you don't need a lot of stuff, but just clean lines, right? Because that's the one thing that someone might say, oh, that looks, they may not take notice of the yard, but I think in your mind mentally it just looks clean.
Yeah.
And it looks presentable, and that's something that's pretty easy to do, relatively inexpensive. Bark dust is not that cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cheap, not that expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you improve the general curb appeal, which is something that everybody wants.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think gets overlooked quite a bit with yard maintenance is people throw down fertilizer or new seed and never actually do anything with the soil.
Mm-hmm.
And dethatching and aerating,
Mhm.
especially in the parts of Salem where we have the thick red clay, where
Mhm.
where it just creates this impermeable surface where
Mhm.
you put fertilizer down, and the next time it rains or you water, it all ends up down in the street because
Yep.
it can't soak in. So but renting one of those, it's like $100 a day,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and well worth it. So
Yeah.
and it takes a bit of knowledge to
Mhm.
is that something I need to do or not. But
Mhm.
again, going to your local garden store or
Yeah.
wherever, and asking them
Mm-hmm.
questions before you spend $200 on seed that's going to end up
Yep.
in the driveway.
Yep.
So,
And it's frustrating too when you do something and then you don't get the results, right? It's kind of deflating.
right.
And I think what I like about yard work, it just doesn't take that long. Unless you have a big piece of property that hasn't been maintenance for a long time, it just doesn't take that long. And maybe if you do have a property like that hasn't been touched for years and years and years, essentially, except for maybe just the lawn's been mowed, maybe hire a landscaper to come in and kind of give you that initial push, and then you just kind of maintain it after that. It's a lot easier.
Yeah. And once you get it set, it's a whole lot easier to maintain it than it is to get it to that point. So it's important when you do that. I see people who buy a house, they get it all pretty, and then all right, it's nice. We'll be back in 2 years, and then you're ready to sell, and you have to do it all over again, which it takes 5 times as long as it would have if you just spent an hour a week there.
And if you don't like yard work, put on a podcast and throw your headphones on and just go have some me time and have some busy work. It's not like super, doesn't take a lot of brain power to do yard work.
Yeah.